Big game energy, July 27th. It is great to be with you. James and Spencer hanging out with you. We finally have news. The white smoke is coming out the chimney, and LeBron James has chosen a new team. He's going to the Philadelphia 76ers. We're going to break down our reaction to him signing finally and what that means for the NBA now. And we will continue with our series over what teams will not win the Super Bowl this week. Today we are doing the Philadelphia Eagles for James and the Washington Commanders. But James, LeBron James is a Philadelphia 76er. He signed a 2-year, $8 million contract with the 76ers, with that second year being a player option, but $4 million, and he is quote-unquote ring-chasing, James, as he is going to play with Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and Joel Embiid. James, you're a LeBron guy. You're going to be following and taking your talents to Philly, and this is a place that you're already an Eagles fan, so this works out well for you. But how are you feeling now that LeBron is a 76er?
Look, before I get to my take on this, I've already pre-ordered my jersey. It's sold out on Fanatics. I've already got it. I haven't seen the black old retro Sixer jersey yet, but I'm definitely getting the red Philly jersey, Spence. You bet my words on that, man. You'll see it hopefully sometime in October. You know how these things go with Fanatics.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never get it. I bought it in July. Won't see it till October. But, Spence, overall, man, I'm shocked. We talked about this weeks ago, and I had mentioned I wouldn't prefer him going to Philly, even though I think that's the team he would go to because of what's built and just because of what everyone's going to say. And, I was joking about the Jordan fans. Now, you got folks coming out, Charles Barkley, everyone else, ring chasing, X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to debunk everything because at the end of the day, hey, man, it's this guy's last chance. It's this guy's last, what do you want to say, decision. He's last
41.
down. I know. Give it a break. Give it a break, man. Imagine a 41-year-old shocked the world, man. That's a GOAT status.
If the 76ers were to win the championship this year, it wouldn't be because of a LeBron James Finals MVP. Let's just be honest.
I didn't think it was the 76ers. I mean, we talked about LeBron going here and there. The Heat were the favorite. I thought he was going to the Cavs. And now the 76ers, who got LeBron at plus 900 as the next team, now their chances to go represent the East is at the tops with the Knicks. The adding of KCP, like, this team's roster obviously looks good on paper, as most teams do. They look very good on paper. Now we just got to get to see if these games are going to fall in hand, because we already know one thing. Is Joel going to be healthy? That's number one. How much are they going to ask LeBron? Me, Spence, I'm looking at it like this. LeBron's going to have to be Magic Johnson. He's just going to have to average 17 points, 17 assists, 9 rebounds. And everyone else is just going to get buckets after buckets. But, man, I'm excited that LeBron gets to play two more years. Heck, I thought he was going to retire. We all thought he was going to retire.
Well, let's pump the brakes on that. It's a 2-year contract. Player year for that second year.
He playing 2 more
You think
years.
He's playing 2 years for sure?
Man, I'm telling you, once he gets to the Eastern Conference Finals in year 1, he's going to be like, man, we got to do it one more time.
It would be really weird if he did only play a singular season for the 76ers. But the fact that if the second year is a player option on that tells me that he is very much still not going to commit to playing more than just this season. Because what happens if, let's say, the 76ers do win it all? He ain't coming back. He's going out on top.
You're right. Yeah, they win this year. Yeah, you got to ride off into Disney, ride 100%. Off some coattails. One reason why I joke about the 2 years thing, because Spence, not his first Cavs tenure. Ever since he left the Cavs the first time. So Miami, the second Cavs stint, and the Lakers. He's always won a championship in year 2. So I'm like, all right, we're going to get 2 years out of this Philly deal, man. He ain't going to win year 1.
We talked about it, that we didn't want to see LeBron add another jersey to his collection. It would have made sense for him to just be at max a 3-jersey guy. So, yeah, I wanted to see him in Miami or Cleveland. But, man, from a basketball standpoint, this is going to be fun, man. I cannot wait to see our first matchup between the Knicks and the Sixers and the Celtics, the Sixers and the Lakers, right?
Yep.
There are so many storylines that are going to come with this now. And now it's another teammate on the Sixers that has some problems or might have some beef with Jaylen Brown. It's another teammate that Jaylen Brown is going to have to come to terms with because he was talking crap about LeBron James' son, Bronny, saying he's not an NBA player, which that's a sentiment I myself have echoed at times in the past, but now you are teammates with his father, so I think he's gonna have to answer that in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, James, any chance that Bronny does head over to Philly at some point?
Hey, if he does, I'm riding the whole Nepo baby thing, bro. I will ride that. I was riding it a little bit in LA, and then I love having the jokes of you about Bronny cooking your Rockets a little bit for his in the playoffs, but
He hit like 2 shots.
Hey, he outscored your bench in one game, and those are the 2 shots. I think
That was sad.
That was pretty sad. But no, I don't think Bronny joins. Again, I know that was last year with the whole Jaylen Brown situation with talking about Bronny's not a pro. I think Bron's over that because I think if anyone could look over like a certain BS situation, because he had his bumping heads with Pat Riley in Miami, found a way to win. Bumping heads with Kyrie, even though Kyrie dipped, he found a way to win. And the situation of LA, even though through COVID, somehow finding a way to play and get through, blah, blah, blah. He'll find a way to figure it out. I'm just waiting to see. And again, everyone keeps saying the same usual stuff. And remind you said it, Spence, the guy's about to be 42 in December. He's ring chasing. He's freaking, they ain't enough basketballs on the court for this team. You know, if somebody knows how to figure it out, it'd be LeBron. But I would say, Spence, I know you mentioned some of the games versus the Sixers, even the Heat. I can't wait to see the Heat versus the 76ers. Every team versus the Eastern Conference. Hell, I can't wait for the Wizards to play the 76ers.
That would be a good one. But I want to talk about the Heat just real quick. I think they are by far the biggest losers in all this. Like, sure, the Cavs wanted him to, the Warriors wanted him to, but I think both those teams, I think they're going to be okay in their own regard. I think that LeBron was kind of like hey, this could be nice, but we have our own thing going on. We have our own direction. For the Heat, they just made the splash of all splashes in the offseason. They finally got the guy that was in the rumors to be traded. He finally became a Heat. Giannis. Finally happened. They won one. But then immediately they turn around and they lose another one. It's just funny. They could not have it all. We thought this might have been the offseason that they could have had it all, and it was the perfect storm. LeBron was back in free agency. It was going to be the decision 2.0. It was going to happen all over again. He's going to take his talents back to South Beach to end it all. Wrong. And now the Heat, while I still think they'll be good. They'll be good, and they'll be in the conversation, but the storm swept away from them, and now all the hype is not going to be on Giannis's new team in Miami. Now all the hype is going to be on LeBron James and Jaylen Brown joining the Sixers. So you got to feel bad a little bit for Pat Riley there.
Yeah, for me, you got to feel bad because you could have been just maybe one step better in this league. Again, I don't think him going to Miami would have been, I'm not going to say the best fit because I do believe in this league you do need shooting, and I don't think this team is the best shooting team if he was on the Heat. It's a different story with the 76ers. I think the biggest loser is the Warriors. Just because if you look at their offseason and free agency moves, they did absolutely nothing. And they thought they were going to go all in with LeBron. Hell, they were going to pay him more than what the 76ers did. And LeBron still decided to go to Philly. And all you did was sign Draymond Green to $28 million.
Yeah, I just think the Warriors seem to be going in a direction where they want to start emphasizing the youth movement, which is a shame because I do think Steph Curry's got some more years left, but I don't think that the Warriors are in contend now mode. I think they are going to wait for whatever happens with Jimmy Butler's recovery, and then that's whatever they get is what they get.
Look, you know what? You said the Heat were losers, but guess what? I'm just going to go off on a whim. The Heat will find a way to trade for Steph Curry. That's what they're going to do. I feel it in my bones, man. They find a way to get Steph Curry to Miami, him and Giannis. Two polar opposites.
What are they going to give up to do it?
I don't know. They're going to trade somebody.
They gave it all away for Giannis. Gutted their team for him.
They'll just have to take some notes from the Dodgers owner, and they'll figure it out. Hey, what do we need to do this in the long?
That's why LeBron really, in all seriousness, would have been such a good move for them because – questions about fit aside, when it comes to assets and getting a talent like LeBron, bang for your buck, there wasn't many options that were going to be as awesome as getting LeBron James on a 2-year, $8 million contract.
Yeah.
That's even at 41, I think that's got to be one of the best contract values in the entire NBA.
Now, I love the deal because you know how there were years with LA. I was like, LeBron, you don't need to be making $50 million a year when you have so many business ventures. I was watching, hearing some clips, and what are your thoughts on, obviously we know why he took this deal with the 76ers and X, Y, and Z, But why couldn't he do that in LA to maybe have a 76ers team-esque in LA instead of being cap strapped with either him and AD, him and Luka? And so the question turns around like, why didn't LeBron do it in LA?
I think for me, I don't think he has any beef with JJ Redick. I have to believe that one, he saw that they were going to move in a direction around Luka and that he was part of the past and that they wanted to change the makeup of that team, and LeBron being there was just kind of in the way. But also underneath that, I've never been a Rob Pelinka guy. So I'm just going to chalk this up to him and Rob Pelinka not having the best relationship. I think it's possible that throughout their tenure there together that they didn't always get along, that they didn't always see eye to eye. There's nothing been ever reported about that heavily, but just the vibes I get from how they both move and how Rob Pelinka and his tenure has been extremely overrated and overhyped. The fact that he is a championship executive is just a travesty to the term, because I'm not saying bubble championship to discredit that. I'm not one of those people, but I want to somehow discredit Rob Pelinka because the only reason he was able to put together a championship roster was because LeBron James was there attracting all the talent. So whenever you have a guy there that is, sure, he's found talent like Austin Reeves, but other than Austin Reeves, everything good that has happened for the Lakers has just been something that fell directly into their lap. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, right? These aren't things that they're scouting and making things happen to do. These are things that are happening because you are the Lakers. Anyone could have done that job. I could have sold LeBron James on the Lakers, and I could have said yes to Nico Harrison trading me Luka Doncic for a bag of chips. I could have done those things. Rob Pelinka's not impressive for the job he's done, and maybe LeBron got tired of it.
You know what? I'll say this. You mentioned that, and maybe I agree with you there. Now I'm starting to think, man, LeBron had past issues with Dan Gilbert in Cleveland, sometimes with Pat Riley in Miami, then back to Cleveland, and now with Rob Pelinka. Hey, hopefully, I know it's just 2 years, or maybe it's just 1 year and walk off in the sunsets. Hey, man, maybe him and Bob Myers have an understanding, and maybe he'll enjoy his 2-year tenure there. Imagine if Daryl Morey was still on that squad.
Oh, he'd be driving it into the dirt. He can't build a winner.
No.
All righty, James, let's keep it going with our Why They Won't Win the Super Bowl series. And today we're going to start with a very special one for you, James. Before we jump into it, we are going to talk about your Philadelphia Eagles today.
Oh, damn.
Since it's the first of our teams that we're going to go through this series on, James, before we get into it and we start the actual segment, how confident are you feeling with the Eagles going into the season?
Look,
just in general. Don't talk about specifics, just how are you feeling confidence-wise?
On a scale 1 to 10, I'm feeling like an 8.
An 8?
Feeling like an 8. We still top to bottom, we still have a decent roster.
Okay.
One of the best, maybe top 10 at least to say. We'll go. I'm being conservative. As they say, maybe sometimes subtraction is an addition. We lose AJ Brown, maybe there's no drama in this offensive locker room.
I just feel like the vibes I've seen from some Eagles fans have not been the best this offseason.
Because now the two biggest concerns, well, really it's going to come down to 3 things. And it seems like the past 5 years, 2 things have been the same. 1 thing has been different. Sirianni, Jalen Hurts have been the same, but offensive coordinators have been different. And again, we have been scrutinizing everyone who's been a 1-year off OC. We've seen that happen with Brian Johnson. We've seen that with Kevin Petula. Those guys, 1 year and done, and now we have another 1 year, first year OC play caller. And now people are looking at the side of, okay, if something goes wrong this year, are we firing Sirianni? Are we getting rid of Jalen?
Something perhaps will have to change, but let's get into it, James. The Philadelphia Eagles have been one of the most successful NFL franchises of the past decade, but they will not win the Super Bowl in 2027. Last year, in 2025, they started off hot. Coming off of a Super Bowl victory, they started 8-2, looked like one of the most elite teams in the entire conference. And then they faltered down the stretch, including a 3-game losing streak at the end of the season. They barely win the NFC East, but are upset in round 1 by the 49ers at the Link. So they had to make some big offseason changes. They fired offensive coordinator Kevin Petullo, hired Sean Mannion as the new offensive coordinator, the 5th straight year that the Eagles will have a new OC going into the season. They also traded A.J. Brown to the Patriots It was a long time coming, a lot of off the field issues. A.J. Brown stirring up things in the media, always being a distraction. The saga is over. He is a New England Patriot. The Eagles also locked down defensive lineman Jordan Davis to a massive contract extension. They signed Tariq Woolen from the Seattle Seahawks. And they also drafted Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, and a surprise draft pick to replace A.J. Brown. So, James, the first reason the Philadelphia Eagles will not win the Super Bowl in 2027, Jalen Hurts has another down year. James.
Yeah, look, you mentioned it. Now, look, we're never going to compare stat-wise what Jalen Hurts is towards Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow. He's not throwing for 40 TDs every year. Since 2022, since he's got A.J. Brown, 22 TDs, 23 TDs, 18 TDs, 25 TDs. He is in the middle of the pack. We know what the Eagles do. They play to their strengths, and that is being a don't give the ball away play game manager. And we talked about this in the Carolina series where Panthers Bryce Young to be a game changer, not a game manager. And I do believe Jalen Hurts is a game changer because we've seen it in the Super Bowls. We've seen it in some of the top games you have. But then again, we go through droughts where it's like, all right, Jalen, you played like crap. Feels like you don't want to throw the ball down the middle or even down the field. And it just seems like his mindset has became more like this team is too conservative now. If they're not explosive on the run, Jalen doesn't want to experience the more aggressive passing game. Now, do I believe Jalen Hurts can throw the ball? Hell yeah, man. You know how many times he's thrown the ball over 20 yards, TDs, blah, blah. He leads the league in that. I think that's stat. I forget the number. But at the end of it, Jalen's got to also, be in mind that he has to step up because now everyone's looking at you. Everyone's looking at Nick Sirianni. And again, we always talk about who's going first, and it's usually the head coach. But even if the head coach leaves, now that's pointing at you now, Jalen. And again, I'm never going to bash Jalen. He has done things I am so happy for this team. And it's hard for me to say my team's not going to win the Super Bowl because, damn it, we believe we're going to win this year.
No, we don't.
Okay,
no, we don't.
No, we don't. Sorry.
No, we don't.
All right, really back.
No, it's for me, the Jalen Hurts, you mentioned his prowess with the deep ball. And I don't think anyone can deny that. When you watch Jalen Hurts, when you pull the numbers, the eye test, the stats, they back it up. The problem with this, though, James, is that Jalen Hurts has all, and it's something I've pointed out a lot, it's just so weird to me that Jalen Hurts cannot throw the ball over the middle. He struggles with this a lot. We saw it a ton last year and remnants of it in the years past, but he makes up for it with his legs. My fear is that every single year we've seen a slow downtrend with the amount that he is running. We know he's going to tush push and he's going to get a bunch of touchdowns. But when we look at what he's actually doing, scrambling, it's going down year by year. Mm-hmm. And another year older, it's just hard to see him turning the clock back and running more like he used to. And so when that happens, you have to be able to make those throws more consistently than we saw last year, or Correct. You're going to get the same results that you saw in the postseason last year where, sure, I know A.J. Brown was dropping some passes, but it was not a strong overall showing from Jalen Hurts against the 49ers.
Oh, yeah, no, it was horrible. And you mentioned it about the running. I'm not going to lie. I missed the year that Jalen Hurts was running all around the field. And, of course, that was the year we went to Super Bowl 57. And it was just like once he got the contract, you mentioned it. Since he's got the contract, he went from 163 attempts to 157. Okay, not much. But then he goes from 157 to 150. Then he goes from 150 to 105 last year. He drops in yards by 200 yards from last year. And, of course, tush-push TDs, whatever. But when you go from 14 TDs to 8 TDs, again, we can say often, and we'll get to it later, we can say offensive line was this, Saquon wasn't explosive, Kevin Petula, OC, blah, blah, blah. But even when we had Brian Johnson 2 years ago as the first-time play caller, before Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts statistically played pretty well. And even though it looked rough, it's just, for me, like I said, it's hard for me to dog walk Jalen Hurts because he doesn't play bad enough for me to be upset. He doesn't throw 4 interception games all the time. I know against the Chargers last year, it was just like, I've never seen him play like this before. So now it's like, okay. But in all honesty, I do believe Jalen Hurts is always somewhat now injured and he can't find a way to protect himself now, which, again, if he limits himself running the ball, and like you mentioned, he's got to start throwing that ball, I do believe he does hold on to the ball as well too long. Again, because you look at the stats, you look at his completion percentage, 66, 65, 68, 64. So it's not drastic. So it's either he's pretty consistent in what he does. He sticks to his process. And has it worked for him? Basically, you could say his whole career, even in college. Yeah, he's played at the highest heights, but is he enough? And I hate to even say that because we've seen him outplay Pat Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. And I believe he should be a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, but we're here to 1. And the Eagles won't win the Super Bowl because Jalen, he won't take enough risks this year.
Yep. Another down year from Jalen Hurts could spell a recipe for disaster. Reason 2, Nick Sirianni, a coach that has his fair share of bad vibes follow him throughout his tenure with the Eagles. They finally catch up to him this year, and he gets exposed as someone who, as someone once told me, a coach who has won because of his personnel, not made them actually better himself.
Yeah, gosh. Spence, I remember telling you, if the Browns would have beaten the Eagles after we go 2-2, the year we won the Super Bowl, I thought Nick Sirianni would have got fired. Because before, when it was like year 1, again, it seems like when it comes to new head coaches, we always want something new. And Nick Sirianni was that rough rider, go-getter guy, and we're just slowly trending. So I was like, okay, he kind of fits the system. But when you have a roster that's top to bottom, the best, top 10 at least since 2022, since Super Bowl 57 and now, and yes, you got 2 Super Bowl appearances, you got 1 Super Bowl win out of this. I believe the roster head to toe has been letting Nick Sirianni get a pass for things, because you look at his track record, Super Bowl 57, you're up so many points, you don't make any adjustments. I know that could be blamed on offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, but again, if you're the head coach, you're the guy who runs this team, you got to make those adjustments as well in the Super Bowl. When it comes to Kevin Patula, why you probably didn't fire him, because he's your best friend, or he's your friend in whatever reason, and this Italian thing, everyone starts looking at you like, okay, now we've seen you not pull the trigger on your friends or pull the trigger to help your team, and everyone else is kind of catching up, basically saving your ass. Now it's time to really see if you can really lead these guys. And it doesn't look good when I see on my notifications, Nick Sirianni uses ChatGPT to motivate the players. God.
I like that Nick Sirianni has finally discovered ChatGPT. That's been one of my favorite things from this offseason, is everyone making fun of him for ChatGPT.
You know, so like you see that and you're like, is it? And a lot of people are going to overlook it, overthink it, and maybe the wins freaking overshadow it. But when you see something like that, now I think the players are just waiting to have a new voice in the locker room. And previous years, and something that has not been talked a lot, the year Kevin Patula became OC, everyone thought that would have been Deuce Staley, the former Eagles running back, who was the running backs coach, offense assistant. They thought he was going to be the OC. And once he didn't get that position, I feel like that's what's the downfall with Nick Sirianni, is that he's lost the locker room. I'm okay with him being a fiery guy and going at his players, because I'm okay with don't let your players walk over you. That's just like me. My kid's not going to walk over me. I run this house. So Nick Sirianni, run this house, man. Because if we start losing, God dang it, because I already want to talk about we're going to win the Super Bowl.
You are struggling with this one tonight. The final reason is the offensive line for the Eagles regresses significantly. A lot of injuries that they've dealt with over the past few years, names coming in and out, guys retiring, guys being injured, guys getting drafted, right? The offensive line we saw last year is not going to cut it. They need to take steps forward. But, James, I see a lot of old guys on this roster, and old guys don't tend to get better. They tend to get worse.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you on this. You think about the year that we won Super Bowl 59. Only difference was last year, no Mekhi Becton. And then we drastically dropped. Again, you mentioned it. Lane Johnson's hurt almost every other game. He has to sit out. And no matter what the stats say about him, he's only allowed 10 sacks in 12 years. Hall of Fame resume, we get that. But still, your best ability is your availability. And Lane Johnson has been a problem. You look at Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson, who were both great in the Super Bowl, but it seems like every year they've been with us, they've been also injured prone. And last year, they were both horrible in the pass and in the run game. It didn't matter which play. They were just trading off who was worse. And so you think about it. When the offensive line gets hurt, this is almost like dog years, bro. They just get older and older. It's not like wide receivers. They get hurt. Okay, they come back next year. Linemen who get so much pressure on them, I don't even know how Jason Kelce and them guys lasted so long. Again, the Eagles tried and make steps in the right place with offensive linemen like Markel Bell from Georgia, but still, there's no answer for Lane Johnson. Yeah, you can replace him with Fred Johnson, but again, just because his last name Johnson don't mean he's going to perform like Lane. And last year, again, these guys just were, even Jordan Mailata, who was butthurt that he wasn't a first-team All-Pro 2 years ago, and guess what? It looks like it got to him because he didn't play that well. And this offensive line has to be healthy for a group of guys that were ranked in the top 5 last year, top 2 years ago as offensive line. You got a standard and you lose Jeff Stoutland, your old O-line head coach guy. Again, kind of going back to that Sirianni thing where it's like, all right, you're letting go of guys who thought were like Philadelphia staples. There's something going on in this locker room that is not being mentioned. So you lose him, and now you have an older offensive line. I want to see how this goes. Again, the offensive line is going to regress. And that's why the Eagles go win the Super Bowl. Dang it, this is tough, Spence. This is tough. I can't do it.
Predictions for the Eagles in 2026, James. I'm going to go first. You're not going to like it. But I got the Eagles going 10-7, barely making the playoffs as a 6 or a 7 seed, but losing in round 1 when they have to go on the road in January.
I have, you say 10-7. I actually had 11-6, and I was going to not win the division. They'll be the 5 seed, and they will, in my mind, they will beat the NFC South team, but lose to either one of the NFC West teams in the divisional.
But y'all let us know in the comments, what will the Eagles do in 2026? Can Jalen Hurts bounce back? Is Nick Sirianni going to prove himself? And what's going to happen with that offensive line? Y'all let us know down below in the comments. Next team up is the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders were one of the most disappointing teams in 2025, and it's not going to get better in 2026 as they will not be able to win the Super Bowl in 2027. Last year, coming off of an NFC Championship appearance, the Commanders had a lot of expectations and a lot of high hopes, but they ended up being one of the most disappointing teams in terms of their expectations as they go 5-12, due in part largely because Jayden Daniels was injured for most of the season. So they made some pretty big changes in the offseason, primarily signing Odafe Oweh, the edge rusher, from the Chargers to a massive 4-year, $100 million contract. They also extend offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, and in the top 10 of the draft, they draft Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, one of the best linebacker prospects that we have seen in a very long time. But, James, reason number one that the Commanders will not win the Super Bowl in 2027 is that they have a lot of inexperience when it comes to their play callers. Dan Quinn is a seasoned head coach in the NFL, but he hired David Blau and Durante Jones to be his OC and DC respectively, and these guys are both first-time NFL play callers and are going to be called upon to carry a lot of responsibilities for this Commanders team. Cliff Kingsbury is gone, and I felt like that was a mistake in the offseason for them to let him go. I felt like that was an offense that when Jayden Daniels was healthy for a full season, we saw what him and Cliff Kingsbury were capable of. Last year, I'm not going to put all the blame on him for not succeeding with Marcus Mariota and Josh Johnson. That's really not fair.
That's not fair.
So, that being said, David Blau being the solution, all I know about David Blau was he was a third-string scrub quarterback back in the day, and not even that long ago, for the Lions. I'm not sure that equates to being a successful NFL play caller, James.
Hey, man, don't be talking like Ryan Clark over here, man. Yo, here's that. He didn't play well. That means he can't coach well. I'm not going to dip in that pool because I have that same situation in Philly. But, Spence, I'm with you. Experience, again, it's a big thing. And in this NFL, you got to go with the risk. You got to see who's that next voice, who's that next whoever as your assistants and OCs. You mentioned the inexperience on the OC and the DC. And this DC is the one that you're going to be looking at the most because last year's defense was just atrocious. They were like bottom 7 in every defensive category. Yes, were they one of the oldest defenses by age? Okay, yeah. But again, how great can you get as a 1-year DC? I'm thinking of guys like, I'm trying to think of even Aaron Glenn when he was in Detroit. He wasn't the best DC at his first year. Now, yes, he grew with the team and the team ended up being great. And then he ended up being the Jets head coach. So it's for a team that's going to be like bottom of the pack in defense in most categories. Can he get this? Can the DC get this team maybe outside the top 20 and maybe 19, 18 best defense? I would say that's a victory being after the 32nd. So again, that's who I'm going to analyze more. Because you look at the defensive side. If you were the worst last year, and again, you look at teams like Dallas. As much as I hate to speak of Dallas, anyone who's got CD, George Pickens, and Dak, they're throwing for a lot of yards. Heck, you remember the Christmas special on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Dak would do whatever he wanted. And you got teams like the Eagles who may not be the most heavy pack on the passing game, but they're going to run Tanks Bigsby and they're going to run Saquon. And then you look at the Giants, who I do believe they'll be a little bit better. Maybe not with Cam Scatterboo, but having Malik Neighbors back for Jackson Dart, man, just within your division, you have to find a way to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next reason number 2, why the Commanders will not succeed is they are very unproven in their secondary and at wide receiver. Starting on the defensive side of things, their secondary last year was atrocious. Worst secondary in the league, as they allowed a league-high 384.3 passing yards per game, one of the worst in recent NFL memory. And it didn't get any better in the offseason. It felt like they let Marshawn Lattimore walk. He was constantly injured, constantly blowing coverages. So they signed Amik Robertson over from the Lions, but him, Mike Sainristil, and Quan Martin, this is a team that the personnel that they're putting out there in the secondary is still cause for concern. I don't see much of a turnaround anticipated for these guys unless Durante Jones, who again, first year in as a DC, can really work a miracle and turn these guys into contributors. Dan Quinn has historically had really good, tough-nosed defenses, but he's on the hot seat. And if this defense doesn't perform, especially in the secondary, he's going to get fired. And then you look at the other side of the ball at wide receiver. Deebo Samuel last year was a very disappointing acquisition, and he is currently a free agent. And then we don't really think Brandon Ayuk is going to be a Commander anymore, do we? Seemed like it was a foregone conclusion, but now it is very unlikely to happen. His playing days are done. So you look at what the Commanders are dealing with at wide receiver. There's been rumors they might sign Stephon Diggs, and if they do, maybe that changes this point here. But as it stands right now, there is no playmakers on this Washington Commanders offense that you like outside of Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. Terry McLaurin is going to be the number one guy. And even though last year he only played 10 games, he's out due to injury. You mentioned it. Deebo Samuel was their leading receiver. He's a free agent. Zach Ertz was their third leading receiver. He's not even on a team. He's recovering from an ACL tear. And then you got guys like Treylon Burks, Luke McCaffrey, and I think you get Antonio Williams, and it's just like there's so much uncertainty on this team. And again, for a guy you want as your franchise, we talk about it, Spence. When you got a franchise quarterback, you got to give him playmakers. I believe McLaurin will be just fine. But again, would you consider Scary Terry a top 5 receiver?
Not top 5. I think he's probably on the edge of top 10. I think he's top 15.
Top 15. Okay, so there you go. Great. So you got a top 15 receiver. And then it's after that, you have basically, you know how you watch Sunday Night Football and the players' names will be listed and they'll say your PFF score is 1 out of so many receivers. So after Scary Terry, every receiver, this guy ranks 320th out of 320 receivers. That's who you got at number 2 because you have nobody else. So,
the number 2 next year is probably going to be the corpse of Zach Ertz once again.
You look at the depth chart too. It's just like, this team's cooked, man, when you got Treylon Burks.
Yep. And then the final reason for the Commanders, it is going to be a very tough schedule for the Commanders this season. James, rattle off their first 8 games for me.
Whoa, man. Hey, Commanders fans, just book it for next year. Just get ready for a top 5 pick. Because when you start off your first 9 weeks at Philly, at Dallas, your first home game, Super Bowl champs back in town, Colts in England. Hey, whatever happens in there. Whatever. Then you got another divisional game, Giants. Then you go Monday Night Football at San Fran. Then you get a bye week, relaxation, right? Your next week, boom, Sunday Night Football against the Eagles, and then wrapping up week 9 at home versus the Los Angeles Rams. Woo, man, first 9 weeks. Spence, I could even be fun and be like, hey, this could go really through the first 11 weeks because you go at Giants on Prime, and then you play the Bengals Monday Night Football. So that's the first 11 weeks. So the first 10 games, Spence, you have this team going 3-7?
I think I hear 3 wins tops there. And if you're then 3-7, if you're the Commanders, you're phoning it in. You're putting Jayden Daniels on ice. Dan Quinn is probably fired already, and you're looking ahead to 2027, and you're hopefully picking very high so you could add someone like Jeremiah Smith to that arsenal. And I think if the Commanders ended up with Jeremiah Smith, this season would have been a smashing success for them. Correct. However, they will not win the Super Bowl this year. So my prediction for them, James, I'm going to have them slightly worse than last year. I'm going to have them 4-13.
Wow. Oh,
I'm going to have them picking in the top 5 of the draft next year.
I have this team picking outside the top 5. I'm going to go 6 or 7, but I think they go 5-12. If not, best case is 6-11. But I do agree with you. Once they start the season off 3-7, I think they'll wrap it up. They'll get a little life playing the Cardinals and Titans back-to-back weeks. But then after that, book it. They'll call it off. They get to play the nastiest defense in the league, the Texans. Then you play the Falcons, who they're always scrappy for a win. The Vikings, they might be playing JJ. They might be playing Kyler. That might be a win for the Vikings. Then you got the Jags and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are always going to need a win in the NFC. If you want to win this division, the Cowboys are going to play Week 18. So good luck, Commanders. You are not winning the Super Bowl.
Y'all let us know in the comments, what do you expect from the Commanders in 2026? Who will emerge in the secondary and the wide receiving core for them? Can they defy the expectations with their unproven play callers on offense and defense? And can they actually overperform and get back to that form that they had when they made the NFC Championship a couple years ago? Y'all let us know in the comments. All righty, James. That was a jam-packed episode, but we will be back later this week with the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants and why they will not win the Super Bowl as we continue to preview every single NFL team as we head towards the beginning of the season. So for James, I'm Spencer. This has been Big Game Energy. We'll see y'all next time.